So let's just dive straight into it. The China Navy has taken a page right out of the US playbook, and frankly, they've turned it into a total nightmare scenario for Taiwan. We all know the US Navy's MQ-25 Stingray is a beast of refuel, but Beijing looked at it and said, "Hold my beer." They've rolled out the GJ-11 Sharp Sword, which is basically the evil twin of the Stingray. And if this thing is operating off their new Fujian carrier, we are talking about a complete game changer for Taiwan Strait. At 0315 hours, the massive PAVE PAWS radar station on Taiwan's Leshan Mountain is scanning the horizon. The operators are sitting there sipping their coffee, thinking they've got the entire airspace on lock because their sensors can track a golf ball from 3000 miles away. But to be frank, they are dead wrong. They're looking for the heat signature of a J-20 fighter or the massive radar return of a bomber, but they are completely missing the phantoms, slipping right through the front door. These aren't your grandpa's drones. This isn't some clunky propeller plane buzzing around. This bad boy is a stealth flying wing that handles radar waves like Neo in the Matrix. It just dodges them. While Taiwan has spent billions on Patriot missile batteries and legacy air defenses to shoot down conventional jets, the PLA Navy has quietly weaponized the carrier-based drone concept. They aren't just using these for refueling like the Stingray, they are using them to kick down the door. We are looking at a scenario where the entire defensive doctrine of the island, which relies on seeing the enemy coming from hundreds of miles away, is rendered obsolete in seconds. The Sharp Sword isn't just a drone. It's a ghost that turns expensive hardware into billion-dollar paperweights. And the scary part, the operators on Leshan Mountain don't even know they're already in the kill box. So let's break down the airframe itself, and we'll talk about what makes this thing tick and why it is a total mismatch for Taiwan's current setup. We are talking about the GJ-11 Sharp Sword. And honestly, this thing makes legacy stealth look like a brick flying through the air. It's got that pure flying wing design, no vertical stabilizers, no tail to reflect radar waves back to the sender. It is slicker than snot on a doorknob. And while the US Navy's MQ-25 is currently focused on passing gas, refueling fighters to extend their range, the Chinese have gone a different route. They've put internal weapons bays on this bad boy. Now Taiwan is rocking the PAVE PAWS radar system. Don't get me wrong, it is a beast. It's capable of tracking ballistic missiles coming in from space with insane precision. But here is the fly in the ointment, using that massive, high-powered radar to find a low-flying stealth drone. Skimming the waves is like trying to use the Hubble telescope to find a gnat in your backyard. It is just not built for it. The Sharp Sword is powered by a single turbofan with a flush dorsal inlet, burying those engine blades deep inside the fuselage so they don't sparkle on radar screens like a disco ball. At 0318 hours, the math becomes simple but terrifying. We are talking about a drone with a combat radius of over 1000 kilometers that handles like a pro autonomously. By the time a legacy radar operator gets a faint, maybe return on their screen, the Sharp Sword is already opening its bay doors. It gets inside the OODA loop of the defenders before they even have a chance to spill their coffee. And let's be real, if you can't see it, you can't shoot it. It's that simple. This tech mismatch is glaring, and it puts the entire island's integrated air defense system on its back foot right from the jump. At 0325 hours, the deck of the Type 003 Fujian carrier is buzzing. And we aren't talking about the old-school ski jump ramps on the Liaoning or Shandong that force jets to launch with half a tank of gas and a prayer. We are talking about EMALS, Electromagnetic Aircraft Launch Systems. This is the tech that flings aircraft off the deck using pure electricity, smoother than a Tesla doing 0 to 60. And right now it is slinging these 1.4-ton stealth drones into the night sky like it's firing a slingshot. This sets the stage for a totally new kind of warfare. The Fujian isn't just launching a couple of fighters to patrol, it is vomiting out a swarm. And here is the dirty little secret that makes this terrifying. These drones aren't flying solo. They are paired up with the J-15D Roaring Shark, China's answer to the US Navy's EA-18G Growler. This electronic warfare jet acts as the quarterback in the sky. It sits back, jamming Taiwan's communications while directing a Wolfpack of 4 to 6 GJ-11 drones to do the dirty work. It's the loyal wingman concept on steroids. So instead of risking a human pilot in a J-15 against Taiwan's heavy surface-to-air missiles, the PLA Navy sends in the robots. The J-15D pilot is basically playing a video game from 50 miles away, designating targets for the drones to hit. And oh, by the way, these drones don't care about G-forces. They don't get tired, they don't get scared, they just execute the code. While Taiwan is preparing for a traditional dogfight, looking for formations of manned fighters, they are about to get swarmed by a hive mind that communicates in binary and attacks with surgical precision. This is a massive force multiplier that turns one carrier into a fleet of hundreds of threats. Fast forward to 0340 hours. The Sharp Swords are now in the paint, hugging the deck at sea-skimming altitude. This is where the rubber meets the road. These drones aren't coming in to dogfight F-16s, they're coming in to blind the eye of Sauron. The GJ-11S are programmed with one mission profile, SEAD, suppression of enemy air defenses. And to be frank, this is usually the most dangerous mission a human pilot can fly. You are literally playing chicken with surface-to-air missiles, waiting for them to turn on their radar so you can shoot them in the face. But a drone doesn't care. It doesn't have a pulse to race. As they cross the coastline, the internal weapons bays snap open. We aren't seeing massive drag-inducing missiles hanging off the wings like ornaments on a Christmas tree. These birds are clean. They drop precision-guided munitions or loitering anti-radiation missiles that home in on the specific frequency of Taiwan's radar network. The moment those PAVE PAWS or the smaller gap-filler radars try to burn through the jamming to find a target, they are basically lighting a flare in a dark room saying, "Here I am, come kill me." And just like that, it's lights out. The screens inside the command centers in Taipei don't just flicker, they go straight to static. We are talking about a hard kill on the sensory organs of the island's defense. The terrifying part isn't the explosion, it's the silence that follows. There is no air raid siren wailing because the system that triggers the siren is now a smoking crater. The operators are staring at blank screens, frantically trying to reboot systems that are physically gone. They are now blind and deaf in a dark alley with a heavyweight boxer. This is the blinding strike that precedes the knockout. By using these stealth drones to kick down the door, the PLA Navy has effectively stripped away the Porcupine Strategy that Taiwan relies on. You can have all the Stingers and Patriots in the world, but if your radar is toast and your comms are jammed by the J-15Ds loitering offshore, you are just firing blindly into the night. It sets the table for everything else to come in without even scratching the paint. So at 0410 hours with the eyes of the island effectively gouged out, the silence breaks. But it isn't the sound of relief. It is the sound of the cleanup crew arriving. With the main air defense radars now smoking ruins on the mountaintops, the PLA Air Force sends in the heavyweights. We are talking about H-6K bombers launching massive cruise missiles from safe standoff distances, and the J-20 Mighty Dragons sweeping in to clear the skies like they own the deed to the property. And here is the kicker, those J-20s don't even need to turn their own radars on to find targets. Why? Because the GJ-11 sharp swords are still there. They didn't just drop their bombs and go home for tea, they are now loitering above the chaos, like vultures transitioning from strikers to sensor nodes. They are using their passive sensors and electro-optical cameras to scoop up data on everything moving down below. They are basically live streaming the battlefield back to the fleet and the incoming fighters. Taiwan's brave pilots in their upgraded F-16 Vipers are scrambling to intercept, but they are flying straight into a trap. Their RWR radar warning receivers remain terrifyingly silent because the J-20s aren't painting them with radar. The targeting data is coming via secure data link from the drones that are practically invisible. It is a turkey shoot. This is the ultimate force multiplication that naval planners lose sleep over. The drone swarm acts as the eyes and the heavy missiles act as the fist. Washington is likely just getting the coffee brewing for an emergency meeting at the Pentagon, but tactically the war for air superiority over the island is already over. It took less than 55 minutes, the US carrier strike group is still days away steaming hard, but the Porcupine Strategy has been skinned alive before the first American sailor could even get to their battle station. The sharp sword didn't just prick the defense, it severed the jugular. So here is the reality check that should keep Pentagon planners up at night. The war for the Taiwan Strait isn't going to look like Top Gun. It isn't going to be dogfights and barrel rolls. It's going to start with silence, and it's going to end with a lot of expensive American-made hardware burning on the ground. The GJ-11 sharp sword proves that the PLA Navy isn't just copying homework anymore. They are rewriting the textbook. The Fujian carrier isn't just a floating airfield for parades. It is a mobile hive designed to project a kill web far beyond the first island chain. The lesson here is brutal but necessary. If you rely on seeing the enemy to kill them, you are already dead. The Porcupine Strategy only works if the porcupine isn't blindfolded. Unless Taiwan and the US Navy can deploy their own autonomous swarms or directed energy weapons to counter this stealth threat, the balance of power in the Pacific just tilted heavily toward Beijing. We are entering the era of algorithmic warfare, and right now the code is being written in Mandarin. What do you guys think? Is the US Navy's MQ-25 Stingray enough to counter this, or do we need to unleash our own swarm of XQ-58 Valkyries to even the odds? Let me know in the comments below. Smash that subscribe button if you want to stay ahead of the curve on military tech, and I will see you in the next one. This is Max, signing off. Bye for now.